Hello, welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm Cody. Today we have an incredible guest on, Alex Dauterive, a YouTuber, college sports aficionado, but most importantly, Alex, a diehard Florida Gators fan who just got to watch his team win a national title in spectacular fashion. We had an unbelievable Final Four, an incredible national title. Honestly, one of the best Final three games I think we've seen in any tournament, at least in my lifetime. Alex, I'm going to let you take the floor. How was that experience?
I'll be honest, this is probably the best. Those two games were the best two sporting events I've ever been to in my life. I thought that Auburn game against Florida was the best one. Then I went to the national championship game. Probably the most stressed I've ever been at any sporting event. But just till that last like minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then the win, that was priceless. Nothing can replace that moment.
Your voice does sound like you were hooting and hollering a little bit. I saw the TikTok. I saw the just absolute jubilation at winning a national title. What is going through your mind when you see that Houston go up like he can't shoot, right? So he drops the ball. It's a free-for-all in order to grab it. What's going through your mind the last 3 seconds of that game?
When I saw Sharp do that, I think we were all just confused. No one really was knowing what happened there. We just see the ball dribbling in front of him. Then it kind of clicked. We see Condon go down there, dive for it. And at first I was like, oh God, Condon, don't mess this up. Walt gets it. Boom, we win. And I think all of us were just in shock. We were like, how did Sharp not shoot that ball? But then we were like, we're natty champions.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And what was so crazy is that I thought for the first half of that game, Houston dominated it. They were only down 3. Shout out Will Richard for putting the team on his damn back in that first half. But they played every ounce of Houston basketball. Like, it was Houston basketball to a T. It was ugly. It was messy. I tweeted out, I was like, you have to commit a war crime in order to get a rebound in this basketball game. It was that physical. And yet, Florida hung on. And I was like, man, Walter Clayton didn't score in the first half. And you were only down 3. I was like, this is crazy. Florida has a shot. What were your thoughts at halftime? You're down 3, like the stadium, it gives you a moment to breathe. What's going through your mind?
Honestly, that we played a really ugly first half there. One, the fact that we only were down by 3 points with Walter Clayton, our man right there, with 0 points, was astonishing. I knew, though, going into this game, Alex Condon would have to play lights out, and so would Will Richard, and those two showed up for this game. So going into it, we all know Elijah Martin at that halftime. He was probably going in on the guys. He's probably, doing everything he can. That's what he did with the Auburn game as well. And Todd Golden, I heard people did walk by the locker room and heard him giving him a hard time. And so I knew at the half they were going to come in, know what to do, just like that Auburn game. They were going to come in and be ready to play.
Yeah, it's crazy because when you look at the box score, if I would have told you before this game that Florida's going to shoot 40% from the field, they're going to shoot 25% from 3, you're shitting your pants. You're like, damn, we got blown out. Like, it's crazy that y'all still won that game.
The defense. What people forget is how elite Florida's defense is. All they talk about is the offensive game with this team, especially with our point guards. But we got our bigs are amazing. Even Walter Clayton in this game defensively, he knew exactly what to do. And so we showed up and we played good defense. The same thing with the Auburn game. Like, we showed up that second half, defense.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of got slept on with this Florida team, because the offense could be so fun at times, right? Walter Clayton Jr., when he's on, he might be one of the most fun players in the country to watch. But there were times all season when you go back into conference play, Florida held, Tennessee to 40 points, 43 points on January 7th, but they were holding good SEC teams to, they held Georgia to 60. That's a tournament team. They held Arkansas to 63. That's a team that went to the Sweet 16, right? These are great defensive performances that I think kind of gotten masked by just how fun Florida was to watch play basketball. And that's one thing, as a fan, you don't get to be picky with how your team wins a national title. That's out of your control. If you win a national title, you're going to be ecstatic. But I think there's something that's really special about this Florida run versus the last two UConn teams we've seen where they have won and covered the spread in every single game that they played, and it was never in doubt. Florida had to come back from 4 second-half deficits throughout this tournament run. Texas Tech, Auburn, Houston, UConn. I mean, it's just an unbelievable run. It's crazy to me. How did you emotionally just not? I would give up every game. Like every game, you're down in the second half. I'd be like, "Fuck, it's over. We're done. Season's over."
Being a Florida Gators fan, this is kind of what you expect. So we're used to having these close games, and going into this, like the UConn game, I was more stressed at that UConn game than I was with Tech. Even though Tech had that massive lead, UConn, because back-to-back champs, that kind of scared me more. But even in the regular season, we had a lot of close games. Then we also had blowouts where we destroyed the teams we played. Then even the close ones, I mean, we shouldn't have lost to Mizzou, and then we also shouldn't have lost to Georgia. But that's like watching all these games with my guys, we're kind of used to it. So even watching the national championship, we're losing. But even when we were down 12, we're like, okay, they'll catch back up, they'll chip it up. They're gonna make it a close game again. And sadly, that's just kind of what we're used to being a Florida Gators fan, even last season as well. It's just kind of what they do to us.
Yeah. Now, we talked about Florida a lot, rightfully so. They are the national champions. This Houston team, the fight that they displayed for 40 minutes was incredible. I loved everything that I saw out of them. It just wasn't quite enough to get it done. Their guys like LJ Cryer played incredibly well, 19 points, 6 for 18 from the field. I feel for Kelvin Sampson because he's been to so many tournaments and he's been through the ringer. Through the debacle at Indiana, which would be perfectly legal now with today's NIL and everything that goes on in the transfer portal and all that. Then going to the NBA and not realizing that that's not his path, right? And then coming back to college hoops. Just an unbelievable story that just we're never going to get. I don't know if we're ever going to get the perfect ending to it.
He's 69 years old. So Todd Golden's 39. So you're like, I think everyone kind of was hoping, is like, look, we want to see Sampson get this one. He's 69 years old. He's been working hard. This team has it. And so it was one of those teams. It's a bummer. You know, you hope that is Houston going to come back and do this again? But with his age, like, how much longer is he going to want to continue coaching? And like you were saying, he's made it there. He's made it so close so many times, but just couldn't get there all the way. And this one, he gets the national championship. And honestly, like, they were right there. They were so close.
Yeah, and I think this was Houston's best team under Kelvin Sampson. Like, they had pieces. They had things that fit together very well, right? Like, Jawan Roberts was kind of the anchor of that team, but they brought in Milos Uzan, and you bring in a lot of these guys like Tugler showing up in big moments in this game, and it just wasn't quite enough. And I love what they've built, but man, it does suck. He would have been the oldest coach to win a national title on the men's side. Gino Auriemma just set the age standard on the women's side, winning the national title for UConn. But it's insane that, I just don't know if we're going to get that storybook ending. But it's one of those where you have to hand it to Florida. This was, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is Golden's first tournament win, correct? His first tournament win came against the 16 seed.
Yes, because we lost last year, and we lost to Colorado. It was miserable. So his first one was right here.
That's insane. And like that Colorado team, don't get me wrong, nothing to Cody Williams, like they had guys on that roster. But yeah, to go third-year head coach to get the third national title for Florida, ties you for 8th all-time with Villanova and Louisville. I just think it's super special. What if you could go back and tell yourself at the beginning of the season, like, hey, what would you say to yourself about enjoying honestly a up and down journey from November to now here sitting in April as a national champion?
I'll be honest, going into the start of this season, we knew, I had a few of my friends, we put $5, $10. They're like, Florida's winning it all. We're kind of just being hopeful there. And because also Walter Clayton Jr., we saw just the progression of our guards. Getting Elijah Martin from FAU, that was massive. So just kind of getting that veteran player that's been around. And then our bigs having just a healthy core team. We knew we had something special. It was kind of just, you know what? Let's watch the season. Hopefully they win those games that they should win, and we don't lose the ones, And so losing to Kentucky, that one was a rough one there early on. But I'd say as the wins kept going and we kept winning game after game, we were like, this is a team that can win it all. So it was just kind of like we planned out. I mean, I planned this trip. I knew I was like, I'm going to San Antonio. It's going to happen. Now, did I think I was going to go and be able to watch a national championship? I don't think I'd ever thought I was going to see the Florida Gators win a championship with me physically there. So, start of the season, man, this is not something I thought would happen.
Yeah, I was almost in your shoes. I was so close. I went to the national championship, Notre Dame, Ohio State. I'm a massive Notre Dame fan, and unfortunately, we came up short there. But it's gotta. Did you bring home it? So obviously you have the shirt. What did you all bring home from the national title? Did you grab confetti? Did you keep the popcorn bucket? What did you all bring home from the national championship?
So we got scarves. So I got a scarf from there. I got confetti. Immediately ran to the court, grabbed as much confetti as I could. So got confetti, got a scarf, got some pins. All the Final Four merch got 50% off. Went and got as much of that as I could. So definitely spent a little too much money. My fiance was not pleased, but you know what? How often does your team win a national championship here? Got down there, said hi to the guys. They were just up there on the stage, loving life. Soaked it in, went to the river walk. Probably would have taken some dang grass from that, honestly. I mean, we were just taking whatever we could.
How awesome is San Antonio for the Final Four? Because I've heard you hear some mixed reviews. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, I would love it to be in the biggest city possible, which is fine, whatever. But you also hear on the other side that San Antonio is super walkable. Obviously it's nice this time of year. How was your overall experience at the Final Four at the national championship?
I think if you can get a hotel in that Riverwalk area, it is beautiful. It's amazing. And then if you're we stayed at Airbnb 20 minutes away, Uber over there, everything's walkable. I mean, you can walk everywhere there. There's fans all over the place. They had tons of activities. They had Fan Fest where you go meet players. I went and took a picture with Alex Condon and Hawk. Tons of stuff to do. And they've also made the city very tourist attraction-y. So the Riverwalk's really nice. They want to make it so that people want to come there, hang out, do conventions, things like that. So I think San Antonio, honestly, after going there and then watching the game there, I would definitely have more Final Fours there because even though it's a football stadium, every seat kind of felt like you could sit anywhere and you had a good view for that game.
Hell yeah. So I want to talk. We have to go back a little bit to the Final Four game, right? Against Auburn. This is a team that you had beaten on the road in the jungle during the regular season, but you are going up against what has been one of the best teams in college basketball all year. They have one of the most, if not the greatest resume, pre-tournament resume that we have ever seen. How incredible was that game, that environment, knowing that it's two fan bases that see each other all the time, right? It's the SEC, but you're meeting up in the Final Four. How was the environment for that game?
This one was brutal because both games I actually sat on the opposing team side. So when we played Auburn, we didn't know what sides. We spent a good bit of money, but we had really good seats. It was unfortunate that they were in the Auburn area. And so we're sitting there and, oh man, Auburn's, I'd say this, every team showed up. Okay, all the fans traveled really well for this, which was awesome. Now it was brutal. That first half being down 8 points, that was rough. And then having the fans all around us chirping, saying what they were saying. But once we came back in there, man, the one good thing we beat them in Auburn, but without Elijah Martin. So I knew one key factor there is we have all of our players, even having Micah back as well. So we actually have a full healthy team going against this Auburn team. And then in the half, I was like, Todd Golden's going to give him hell. Elijah Martin apparently gave him hell. Came back, and they did what they had to do, which was make sure Broome didn't annihilate us. Because that first half, we did not look... It was ugly. The one negative thing, too, with Florida, I mean, even in the Maryland game, we can't play a full game. We generally have one half that just looks terrible. The other half looks great. And that's kind of how it's been this entire time.
Yeah, there were definitely bright spots in the first half outside of Will Richard. There were times where, Hall was getting a little bit of run and Alex Condon, he got some of those easy buckets in transition. But it never it never came easy. Like there wasn't ever a moment. And then the beginning of that second half, you come out fired up. There's the defensive physicality was just, it was unbelievable. How excited are you knowing that, look, Walter Clayton's gone, right? He's going to go to the draft, but you have a lot of pieces that are going to return. You got a lot of pieces on a team that has been, I know that a lot of them were assembled in the transfer portal, but they've been around for a little bit, right? It's not like they all came in at one time and they've only been around for 1 year. Florida had a lot of continuity to this roster. They're going to return a lot next year. How excited are you heading into the, like, Al Golden, God, I am so stuck on Notre Dame. It's incredible. But your coach is 39. Like, you're heading into next season with all of the hope in the world. How excited are you, like, moving forward?
I mean, we keep all of our bigs. So that makes me happy. We got Aberdeen, we got Chin, we got Condon, we got, hopefully Hawk doesn't go anywhere. I know his draft stock, I know is going up there, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere. We got Condon. We just got to hit the transfer portal. Luckily, Todd and that team's already going crazy with it. I've been paying attention to On3 and all those things, making sure, like, who do we have right now? Who's looking at it? So I actually feel really good. The goal, repeat. We've done it before. We can do it again.
That's, God damn it. I fucking hate that. I'm so fucking mad that that's even a logical, like, in a 64-team single elimination tournament, you're like, oh, yeah, we've done it before. Fuck you. That's so, God damn it. I'm so jealous.
Look, that's what I was so mad when UConn did it, because Florida had it before. And that was the one thing I was like, please just don't ruin that for us. We haven't wanted Natty in so long. Just don't take that away. And so thank God we want it now. But like I said, we have so many guys coming back, and it's not like small players. We have the game-changing players coming back. Just got to get, I mean, we're losing Richard, we're losing Martin, we're losing Clayton. Replace those guys, we're going to be fine. Go hit the portal hard.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff. All right. Before we get into listener questions, which I appreciate y'all for submitting these. I put them in a little last notice on the Instagram, but y'all came through and I really appreciate it. Before we get into that, Home Field Apparel is the premier apparel sponsor for college basketball. They have some absolutely insane merch. They have a drop for the Florida National Championship, so they have sweatshirts, they have shirts, but they have the best college merch in the game, and they have every school. Use code SMASH to get 15% off your first purchase at Home Field Apparel, or use the link in my bio in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. Check that out. They are the absolute best. I got to tour their warehouse, dude. I'm telling you, they have every college you could ever possibly want. Like, it's insane. And they're coming out, like, they come out with new shirts like every week. It's legitimately bonkers. I'm excited to see what they do for Florida hoops going forward, because every time they have a team that wins a national title, the run of merch that they put out is just absolutely insane. But let's get to the questions from the Instagram, starting with, this is bold. It's a bold take, and I'm very interested to see your thought. This is coming from this guy and I have had, shout out Tyler, we've had some back and forth for a while. Walter Clayton Jr. had the greatest tournament run we have ever seen. Do you agree with that statement?
I'm trying to take my bias aside here. Honestly, with how he did, like, look, comparison-wise, look at Larry Bird when he had that Walter Clayton 30 and then 34. No one's done that since Larry Bird. That's pretty incredible. That's insane. I would say, I mean, he is why we are where we are. So I want to say, I mean, you definitely have to have him up in that, say, the top 2, top 3 for what he has done. Because look at Duke. If Cooper and them would have beaten Houston, different story. And then won it all, different story. They didn't. Florida, with Walt, he was there whenever they needed him to be there. He was there. Even against Houston, played amazing defense. And then when he needed to, he let the other guys cook.
That's fair. I do think Tyler phrased the question in an interesting manner, because it's we've ever seen, right? Like, I ain't 30 yet. So I haven't seen that much basketball. I didn't get to see Larry Bird, right? But I have seen some guys go on some pretty stupendous runs. I would still probably put the Kemba Walker run in the tournament for UConn. I think this Florida roster was more talented. I think that team was just better than this or your team is better than that UConn team, which is why it's so much more impressive that Kemba went on that run. And he carried that team. So I would put Kemba above him probably. I'm trying to think of any other March Madness. Like, Melo was a little bit before my time. And I think you could probably argue that Melo would also be up there in terms of all-time tournament runs.
It'd have to be Melo.
Yeah. I hate it. But
he was a freshman, I think, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was a freshman. That's what makes it like the story, because they're both phenomenal stories. Like, it's not like Walter Clayton's story coming in and transferring in from a group of 5 school. The fact that he was a higher rated football recruit than he was a basketball recruit, and going in, winning a national championship, being the MVP of that national title team. It's unbelievably impressive. And what he's done is incredible. Man, I would put Kemba above him, and I would put Melo above him, and I think that's probably it. Like, there were some Psycho T runs, but like Psycho T was never like that crazy. Like, the effort was just there. Yeah. So yeah, I'll say I'll put him at third though.
I could say that's what I'd say 1 to 3. Like, he's in that 3, you know?
Yeah, it's a conversation. We're having the conversation, and it's not like a ridiculous take. So love that from Tyler. Do you think that this is the best Final 3 games that you remember seeing? Shout out JMH, not SMH, for this question. I think it is. I think this is the best Final 4 and national title games we've seen collectively, those 3 ever. I know that we had the UCLA, Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs, but it was in COVID. There weren't any fans. Like, it just kind of sucked the moment away a little bit for me. I think this is the 3 best, and I'm a prisoner of the moment. I'll say it, but holy fuck, was it awesome. These 3 games, all 3 of them were incredible.
Each game had you on the edge of your seat the entire time. And then the end, all of them went to the very last second. It mattered all the way to the last second, last possession, everything. The last time we had a Final 4 with 4 number 1 seeds was in 2008 in San Antonio as well. It doesn't happen often. We had the 4 best teams in the country. It's insane. And being at all 3 of those games, I've never, the talent that was on the floor, the competitiveness on the floor. You can go to this game, you weren't going to be like, oh, this one's going to not destroy this one. It wasn't some Cinderella. It was amazing basketball.
Yeah, that's the talent piece of this too, because you had not only the 4 number 1 seeds, but you also had the 2 players who were contending for the National Player of the Year in Cooper Flagg and Janai Broome, and neither of them were in the national title game, and it was still incredible. You had we didn't talk about Duke Houston. That game, an all-time collapse from the Duke Blue Devils. The haters have never been happier, and I am one of them. I fucking hate Duke. They are, which it's really rich for me to say that, because Notre Dame is to football what Duke is to basketball. Like, I'll admit it. It is what it is. But I love seeing Duke crumble. That was a historic defeat by Duke, and I loved every aspect of that game. And the fact that we had Florida Auburn that same night, my adrenaline was through the roof on Saturday. It was incredible.
Watching Flagg miss that shot, I think everyone was just like, thank God that just happened. Duke fans, I am so sorry, but I had Houston beating Duke. I wanted Houston to beat Duke. I'm also on that same side where I'm obviously an SEC guy, but Duke and basketball, just no thank you. Let them lose.
I feel that. All right, let's look ahead to next year a little bit. Let's talk Auburn. Do you think that Auburn, and shout out to Connor Too Young for this question, do you think Auburn falls off a little bit? Obviously, they're going to lose Janai Broome. Tahad Pettiford has declared for the draft. I think that Chad Baker Mazzara actually has another year of eligibility, which would be bonkers because he'd be like 26. But do you think Auburn falls off a little bit after going on two pretty great seasons back to back. Now, obviously, they lost to Yale last year, so they didn't have any tournament success, but two great regular seasons.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, it's an older team. Similar to Houston, you got two older teams. They're losing a lot of their guys. And it's not like it's like a small guy. It's like Duke's losing Cooper, we're losing Walter, and then Auburn's losing Broom. Broom has been that team right there. Pettiford's been amazing as well. So if he does get drafted, oh man. But that Auburn team has, I don't think Chad, there's no way he stays. I did see the availability. He is eligible for another year. Man's gonna be 26. Get out of Auburn. Go.
It's the thing about NIL that I don't like is the retaining of these like super seniors. Like 26, brother, you have to be on your own insurance. Like what are we doing here? It is what it is. I don't love it, but I can't bitch too much. I mean, I should come back. I still have 4 years of eligibility. Give me some. Big Ten. Couple Big Ten questions. So Shakeman 35 asked, Dusty May not getting a ton of credit for turning Michigan around from the last few seasons. I do think that was one of the more underrated stories in college basketball this year, is the fact that Michigan was competing for a regular season Big Ten title. They were competing for a Big Ten tournament title in Dusty May's first year. They bring in, they overhaul the roster. They bring in Danny Wolf, who's going to be a lottery pick. They bring in Vlad Golden from FAU. Like I loved what Michigan did, and that was kind of slept on because the Big Ten didn't have a lot of tournament success outside of Michigan State going to the Elite Eight. But what Dusty May has done, I mean, good coaches, they figure it the fuck out, and they figure it out quickly. And like you saw that with Pitino at St. John's, you saw it with Dusty May at Michigan, like Arkansas with Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you want about Cal, but Arkansas in 1 year got that shit turned around. Kentucky with Mark Pope. Like, if you are a good coach, you figure it out, and you figure it out quickly, especially in today's college basketball. I love what Dusty May's doing. What about you?
I think he kind of got overshadowed by Arkansas, Kentucky, BYU, because all these first-year head coaches were all doing phenomenal. If you watch and pay attention to basketball, everyone knew what was happening at Michigan. My mom's from Michigan, so big Michigan fan she is, so I still paid attention to it. I was in shock. I was like, is this actually happening for Michigan? Can they make a run and go pretty far? So what he did in Michigan has been awesome for his first year. I'm excited to see, honestly, Michigan keep doing well. You want to see the Big Ten be a basketball conference. You want to see them produce and do well. You don't want it to be the same 2-3 teams. And look at the SEC. So many teams made it in. I'd like to spread the wealth and see the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, more teams from all of them coming in.
Yeah, it is crazy. We still have not had a national title come from the Big Ten since the year 2000, and they have added Maryland. They've added Oregon and Washington and UCLA and USC, and still no title, which is crazy. It's crazy. A conference that big, that historically good. They came close, obviously, last year with Purdue, but they just can't. They can't get it done.
They have the money too. That's they got bigger, and it's not like they had small schools join. They had really good programs join, and still couldn't get it done. Couldn't make it that far.
I think part of it is like outside of the three really great coaches in that conference and now Iowa brought in who did they bring in? The guy from Drake, and then obviously Indiana brought in DeVry, but like outside of having May and Izzo and Painter, like there's not a lot of elite coaching talent in that conference. And I think that might be part of the reason, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Everyone going to the Big East, ACC, and then the SEC. That's where we're seeing a lot of these guys go to now. It's like, do I go to the Big Ten or do I go to the Big East? I'm going to the Big East.
Well, and that's the thing where the Big East has a competitive advantage in the fact that, and I don't know if you'll admit this as a Florida fan, but I'll say it for you. There's going to be more money spent on the football program. Like that, it is what it is. And that's true for every program in the SEC outside of Big Blue Nation. And on the flip side of that, the Big East, you don't have football to compete with, right? So there's no, like St. John's ain't competing with their football program. So I think it is an advantage for the Big East when it comes to bringing in transfers and recruits. But let's talk the Big East, because that was another question that was brought up. How and why was the Big East the biggest flop this year? I think I kind of disagree with this statement. I don't think that they were the biggest flop this year. And I think it's because if you were to place the last 2 seasons expectations of the Big East on the Big East, then yeah, maybe it was, because UConn is coming off of 2 back-to-back national titles. But the Big East had a phenomenal season. Like, UConn took Florida to the wire, who was your eventual national champions. St. John's had an incredible season. Creighton beats Louisville in the first game of the tournament. Like, Xavier beats Texas in the play-in game. I think it's not, when you set the expectations so goddamn high, yeah, I do think that this season could look a little disappointing for the Big East, but I don't think it was. They had an incredible season. They didn't have any teams, make long runs, but overall, the conference is in a good spot.
I think they're healthy. Their coaches are amazing. Like, they have Hall of Fame caliber coaches. The big thing is, look at their matchups this tournament. They weren't playing easy teams. It's March Madness. They were playing the best teams in the country. This March Madness was probably one of my favorite ones. Was it chalked? Yes. But was it fun to watch? Yeah, we're seeing the best teams battle, and they were winning. Creighton, honestly, I was like, can Creighton go a lot farther than they were going to? I thought they could. I did have St. John's going farther. I saw Patino, and I was like, I got a little excited. And I didn't think Arkansas was going to do what they did.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like when you look at it as a whole, it's like, so a Big East team lost to a Coach Cal team in March. They lost to the eventual national champions. I'm not sure who Xavier ended up losing to, who was a 6 seed on that side, but like there's nothing to be BYU, right?
It was BYU.
Yeah, like nothing to be ashamed of in that run. Like the Big East, just fine. We did have another Big Ten question I wanted to get to. Do you think that the Big Ten needs to change? I'm going to phrase this in 2 questions. Do you think the Big Ten needs to change the officiating in order to get back to a national title? And do you think they need to change the style of play to get back to a national title? I think one of those is true, and I think one of them is not.
With the Big Ten, it's kind of crazy. All I keep thinking about is Kevin Willard. But the style of play,
which is nuts.
The Big Ten's just kind of, they're on such a weird, they should be in such a better place than where they are currently. I don't want to say officiating. You said officiating or their play style. I would say their play style.
I agree 100%. The play style is why it's kind of officiated the way it is. Like, it's aggressive. It's big boy basketball. Like, it's bumping in the paint, bumping and grinding. Like, I get that. That being said, they're officiated the way that they are because if you were to call fouls like that every single night, then like every Big Ten game would just suck. And like that's obviously the conference doesn't want that. So therefore they officiate it a little, they let the boys play a little bit. I do think the style of play is interesting. And that's where we've seen Izzo be successful in March, right? So I trust that. But outside of that, like Dusty May is bringing in a new style of play to Michigan. What they've seen is different. Like Mike Woodson's style was never going to work at Indiana. Like we've seen Matt Painter have success with the big boys, but we've also seen them fail in March with those dominant bigs. So is that maybe the issue? I don't know the answer to that question, but I just don't think we've had the elite level talent in the Big Ten that is needed to win a national title. The Big Ten hasn't had it. If they have had it, they haven't played well together, right? Like Indiana had a bunch of talent. They brought in Umar Ballo, and they shit the bed. They were so disappointing. Now, could that happen? Like, could that still, could we get in fun, big talent and have the Big Ten, still not make tournament runs? Absolutely. But I do think a lot of it is more the style of play. But most importantly, you gotta have good players, right? Like it's Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. Like you have to have the horses to win the race. And I just don't think the Big Ten has had it. The closest they got was Purdue. And they had Zach Edey and Braden Smith, and they were so goddamn close.
Mm-hmm.
They ran into an absolute fucking buzzsaw in UConn, who had four NBA guys on that roster, right? So, like, what are you going to do?
A big thing is depth. Michigan State against Auburn, the guys, you could tell they were done. And I mean, that's Florida. Why was Florida good? Depth. Why was Auburn good? Depth. A lot of these teams are good because of their depth. Maryland, no depth. They had the Crab Five.
0.
But guess what? Yep. After that, it was nothing. So I think the biggest thing for the Big Ten right now is they got to have bench players. You got to be able to throw those guys out there and not notice the difference. Because if you have the same 5 out, they're gonna die. They're gonna get exhausted. They can't play a full game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I believe we have, let's do one last question. What's a team from every power conference that you think, Jesus Christ, we're going to redo that question because this is the Holy Shit Cody Learn English segment, brought to you by Duolingo. Not really, but shout out to Duolingo, sponsor the program. Who is one power conference team that you think could be sneaky good next season? I don't want to. We're not saying Florida, right? You're coming off a national title. We can't say Florida's sneaky good, right? One team from every power conference. Let's start with the Big East. I am excited to watch Xavier basketball, right? Obviously, Sean Miller's moving on, but I think Xavier under Pitino could be a lot of fun. I think they could be a lot of fun. That's a program that cares about basketball. Like, they will spend the money. It's a city that really cares about basketball because UC and Xavier and the Crosstown Shootout and all that. Like, they love basketball in Cincinnati. I think Xavier would be my pick in the Big East for sure.
I have to agree with you there because of Pitino. Watching what he did at New Mexico was insane. Well, that one, I think it's a Mountain West. Generally, you're not going to see many teams go crazy. You got UNLV, you got Reno, but SDSU. But I did not expect for what he was going to do there in New Mexico. I think what his coach style, all that, going to Xavier, I'm excited to see it. I think with what he does, just one, the name itself, they're going to get big names there. They're going to get guys there. People are going to want to go and play for him there. So I do think we're going to see a big up for Xavier as well.
Yeah, that's going to be fun games between him and his dad too. I can't wait for that. Can't wait. Let's go to your SEC. Let's go to your SEC because this year we had teams come out from anywhere. I think in my mind, Missouri was the most shocking to me just because they hadn't won any games last year. But I don't want to pick Missouri for this season because I think that's kind of a cop-out because they overperformed. But I'm going to ride with Ole Miss because Chris Beard was talked about getting so many jobs, and yet he didn't leave. Right? And he's still there. And he's still in Oxford, Mississippi. And God damn it, he can recruit and he can coach. I like Ole Miss. Like I don't see them like winning an SEC, title next year, but I could absolutely see them competing for it, and I could see them making a Sweet 16 run in the tournament again next season.
So many people thought he was going to take that A&M job. So many people thought he was going to take it. I didn't think with what I saw, what he did at Ole Miss this year, I was like, there's no way he leaves there because he's content there. What he did there, I did not expect them to do how they did, to even be close to Michigan State 1. But then Missouri showed up this year. I mean, that coach, I don't think anyone expected. I mean, they beat Florida at the O-Dome. There was the only home loss Florida had was against Missouri. And now they fizzled out really, really bad to end the season. But honestly, I think Missouri, I'm gonna stick with Missouri. I think that with how they did this year, it's going to carry over and hopefully learn from the mistakes that they had towards the end of that season. I had them going at least another game in March Madness in my bracket. They couldn't do it. That was unfortunate. I think they lost to Drake, I believe, and that one was brutal. But I do think Missouri, I think they're going to have a better year. I do think Ole Miss a better team? Yes. Is Chris Beard a better coach? I agree as well. I think so. I could see them making like a Sweet 16. I could see it.
Yep. Big Ten, my pick. This is the easiest pick in the world for me. It's Iowa, and it's Iowa, and it's Iowa, and it's Iowa, and it's Iowa. I love Ben McCollum, and I love what he did at Drake. I do think that it'll be interesting seeing them go from such a fast-paced offense that they've had in years past to, I mean, they went at a snail's pace under McCollum at Drake. But how much of that is because of personnel versus, what what he is comfortable doing offensively. But we've seen Iowa basketball be good, and we've seen them potentially make, tournament runs. I think Iowa has a potential to be like a team that in December, when we, after feast week and we're sitting here, we're like, wait, Iowa's in the top 25? Fuck. I could see it.
A sneaky team that I kind of want them to do well, because this year they were supposed to be something they weren't going to be. Like, they were so lackluster. Indiana. They spent so much money in the NIL, all this, and they did nothing. But we're seeing these first-year head coaches come in, and guess what? They do the thing. I think Indiana, they're going to be sneaky. They're definitely going to be, I think, way better than they were this previous season. They have the money. They have the history. They have the fans. They have everything in place. That it's not a football school. It is a basketball school. Indiana is basketball. So I do think Indiana's going to be a sneaky team there. Is it Devery, I think, from West Virginia?
DeVries, yeah.
Dude, I think didn't his son follow him over there too? Yep. So I think it's and that's his last year as well. I think he knew his dad was going to Indiana. But I think Indiana's going to be the sneaky one.
Yep. Moving on to the ACC, I don't know who's going to be sneaky. I want to say, I want to say NC State, right? Because Will Wade going there is going to be cool. But I'm going to actually leave this. It's incredibly biased, but fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Notre Dame. Year 3 under Micah Shrewsbury. They are bringing in the best recruiting class in the history of Notre Dame basketball. I think that if Shrews is going to do it and he's going to make a tournament at Notre Dame, I think this is the year you got to shit or get off the pot, and it's time. So give me Notre Dame.
You know who I was really upset about losing when they lost and got upset? Clemson. I did not expect Clemson to have the year phenomenal year, and then that happened. I'd say them, but they're not sneaky. They play good basketball. I'm going to say NC State. I liked Will Wade when he was at LSU. He got in trouble for doing something that now, guess what? You don't get in trouble for anymore. He was good at LSU, and what he did at McNeese was phenomenal. The aura, what he had with his guys, that team, he's electric. He gets his team together. They play hard. So I'm going to say NC State. I think they're going to be, with him at the helm, I'm excited to see what Will Wade does.
Love it. And then last but not least, the Big 12. You can't say like a lot of these teams, because the Big 12 does have such a magnifying glass on that conference. Like Houston is great, and Texas Tech and Kansas and BYU had a phenomenal season, which leaves me to go like Iowa State had a great year. They kind of fizzled out at the end, but damn it, they had a good run, which leaves me to go in a weird spot here for the Big 12, because I don't know who to pick, so I'm going to go with just a really this could be chalky, it could be whatever. I think Kansas State has the potential to bounce back under Jerome Tang. It was they brought in Coleman Hawkins, and they spent a lot of money on him, and he just never quite performed. They were sub 500 at one point in the season and just couldn't, they got hot, but they couldn't quite dig themselves out of that hole. I think Kansas State could be a team where, we could see them back in the tournament again next fall or next spring.
Big 12 was weird this year. You expected Kansas and Kansas State to have a hell of a run this year. And they both were just, Kansas makes
preseason number 1, crazy.
You'd expect the Big 12, basketball. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. Luckily, Tech was phenomenal. BYU, Texas Tech, we saw them come out and play. I'm torn between, I've liked Baylor. They've had some really close games last season. Yeah. I think Baylor is someone to watch out for. They're historically
VJ
a great
Edgecombe
program.
Declare for the draft?
Who?
VJ Edgecombe, did he declare for the draft?
He might have.
Oh, goddamn, he was so good.
I don't know who they're keeping from that team that they currently have.
Yeah, but Scott Drew, he's a hell of a coach, right? So, if you trust a guy to turn it around, that's a great call, because they were they were a 9 seed, and they were, or was it 8, 9? They were, I think it was a 9 seed. They were slept on. Baylor was a very, very slept on team this fall, and I like them. Yeah, that's a great call out. All right, That's it for the questions. We appreciate y'all for asking those. As always, if you want to be a part of the show, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff, make sure you give us a follow. Alex, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show today. Where can everybody find your content?
One, thank you, Cody, for just having me on. This has been a pleasure. If you want to find me anywhere, Instagram, just type in Alex Dauterive. Twitter, X, same thing, Alex Dauterive. YouTube, honestly, everywhere. It's just my name, Alex Dauterive.
Hell yeah. We appreciate y'all. All of Alex's stuff, if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the link in the description of this video. Make sure you go check that out, and we will see y'all in the next one. Peace.